An objection to item 368, 3H.
The gentleman from Hopewell, Mr. Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I have had good conversation with my good friend that represents the other part of the city of Hopewell, the delegate Henrico, Mr. Morrisey, and assured him that I had no part of this amendment, okay? And the Appropriations Committee this morning rightfully wished that this would be to vote no. I've talked to the city council, I've talked to the city manager, none of them in favor of this. I even talked to the plant manager of Honeywell, and he said, Riley, do whatever you have to do. I'm okay if you strike it. So I wish you, it would be the pleasure of this body to reject this amendment.
Gentleman from Henrico, Mr. Morrisey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman from Hopewell resume so I can
Will the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Gentleman yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman agree that he and I are the only representatives for Richmond's first city, Hopewell?
I would agree, Mr. Speaker.
Further question?
Will the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Did he propose this amendment?
Mr. Speaker, no, I did not.
Further question?
Will the gentleman yield?
I yield.
Could he identify the gentle lady or the gentleman who came into our district and proposed a $5 million cash outlay in these difficult times?
I yield the floor to Mr. Hogan.
Gentleman from Halifax, Mr. Hogan.
From Halifax.
I would tell the gentleman from Henrico.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, point of parliamentary inquiry.
Gentleman may state it.
I merely asked the representative, the delegate from Hopewell, if he could identify the individual who proposed this.
Yeah.
I didn't get an answer to that question.
I think he identified
Speaker,
himself.
point of order.
I got too many people on the floor. Gentleman will continue.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I would tell the delegate from Charles City or wherever he happens to reside at the moment.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that violates Rule 57, does not. I wonder if that remark was intended to wound to inflict, and if so, I'd ask the chair to call him out of order.
I don't think he'll do it again.
I was going to respond to the gentleman by basically saying I thought his comments came close to violating Rule 57, but in the spirit of full disclosure, I would be happy to try to answer his questions. And I would say further that we've had several discussions about this amendment with the gentleman from Hopewell and other folks, and that I would further say that water quality for the Chesapeake Bay, to which the Water Quality Improvement Fund speaks, is not an issue that is specific to a particular area, but is a matter of the Commonwealth, and therefore opportunities to improve water quality and to save this Commonwealth money would be matters properly before this body and wouldn't be unique to a particular locality.
Further question, Mr. Speaker.
Will the gentleman yield? Gentleman yield?
I'll be happy to yield.
Gentleman yields.
Mr. Speaker, I'd ask the gentleman from Halifax whether or not he proposed the amendment calling for a state agency, the Water Quality Improvement Fund, to spend $5 million.
I would say this, a couple of things. This is a committee amendment, and I'm not sure that it's proposed by any particular person, but adopted by the committee, and therefore, as a member of the committee, I'm perfectly happy to take responsibility for it. Furthermore, if you read the amendment carefully and understand what its intent is, this amendment would save his constituents and the Commonwealth money because it is a more efficient way to deal with water quality. And I think the delegate from Hopewell, Delegate Ingram, adequately addressed the concerns that this gentleman is talking about. And I wonder if his purpose is to make some point or to cover a public policy before us.
Further question?
Will the gentleman yield?
I'll yield.
Gentleman yields.
I would ask the gentleman from Halifax if he spoke with the City Council in Hopewell.
Could I interrupt and ask what purpose this line of questioning has to adopting the budget?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. In these difficult times when we have to necessarily tighten our belt, there was an amendment to spend $5 million of taxpayers' money when at the same time we're taking money away from health care, pregnant women, higher education, lower education. And I think that these are one of the points or matters that I discussed a few days ago I think need further debate. But I would certainly accede to the Speaker's desire.
Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I'd tell the gentleman I think he's gotten confused about what the Water Quality Improvement Fund does and what it's for and how it's funded. And without spending a lot of time on this body, I think he really ought to go discuss that with the appropriate staff. But the Water Quality Improvement Fund is a revolving fund that is used to address water quality issues. And the money that's in it can't be used for the purposes the gentleman just suggested. And so the point before us that I think the gentleman from Hopewell has already adequately addressed is what is the most efficient way to do water quality improvements, and to suggest somehow or other that taking these funds and directing them in terms of the Water Quality Improvement Act has any relevance at all on health care, other things that he's referred to, speaks to a fundamental misunderstanding of the Water Quality Improvement Fund and the budget in general.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 2, noes 96.
Ayes 2, noes 96. The amendment is rejected.